Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Live with Wolfman. I'm your host, Jacob Wolfman, and this is a show about all the things that you're interested in. Typically, we're always talking about martial arts and forms and tricking and fighting and all that, martial arts stuff, and sometimes we jump over to the media world, but really, why do we have to limit ourselves, right? So today we're talking about something else that you guys are interested in, and that is this concept of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchains and all this finance stuff that you've been hearing on the news all the time. What the heck is it? So I got to admit, this happened to me recently. This is something that I've been interested, I've been aware of Bitcoin for many years. I always thought it was this thing that internet nerds are into and has theoretical possibilities and stuff, and I never really got into it. And then this year I watched it grow and grow and grow, and I was like, what is going on? And then last week I took a plunge and I started to really dig into it, and I had a light bulb moment. Ding! Oh my gosh, I get it. I know what's going on, or at least I think I know what's going on. And I am extremely excited. That's an understatement. And I think that this is a topic that is totally worth discussing with everybody on the planet, anybody that you care about. It's worth talking about this topic with people because it's no joke. This is not a scam or a multi-level marketing thing. This is we're in the stage right now where you gotta in the 90s when you're trying to explain to grandma what an email is, and she's just like, what? And that's where we're at now with this whole cryptocurrency thing. It's that revolutionary. It's more revolutionary than email. It's huge, but we're still in such an early stage that nobody really understands what the heck's going on. And so I thought I would explain a little bit based on my understanding, and you guys please weigh in on your thoughts as well. So let's start right away and just talk about it. So there's 3 topics that I want to dig into, and that is cryptocurrencies, blockchains, and bitcoins. Okay, so let's first start off with the idea of the cryptocurrency. Okay, you know what? Scratch that. Let's start off with Bitcoin because everybody's heard of Bitcoin. The other terms are less common. So for those of you that already know what a Bitcoin is, just kind of sit back and chill, or weigh in on the conversation and kind of help me along and help us along. So Bitcoin is a digital asset. Okay, the easiest way to think about it is it's like gold, digital gold. So why would someone want to invest in digital money? Right? It's not backed by anything. What's the value of digits, right? Well, you got to ask yourself too, what's the value of gold? Why is gold valuable? Because it's a rock, right? What makes gold so special? Well, what makes gold special is a couple things. One thing is that it is a metal. So you could take that piece of gold and you could store it away for 200 years and in a vault or something, and then 200 years you open up the vault and the gold is still there. It hasn't deteriorated. It hasn't changed. It's still gold. Gold is gold. It's a mineral. And it's also a less common mineral. So it's just not found everywhere. So it's rare. Its rarity and the fact that it lasts a long time has made it something of value that can be used for exchange on people all over the globe for hundreds and thousands of years. People have used that as a type of currency, right? So with that's kind of what the appeal is about this whole Bitcoin thing. It's something that you can lock away. You can lock the digits that you have. You can lock them away in a vault or something. And in 200 years, you can pull them out, and the digits will still be the digits. The math is still the math. It's not going to go away. However many Bitcoins you have is however many Bitcoins you have. So, and just like gold is scarce, there's only a certain amount of gold out there, and you got to get miners to go dig in the dirt to find more gold if you want to increase the gold supply. Well, Bitcoin works the same way. There's only a certain number of coins that exist. and you can't create more coins. The only way to get more coins into the world is literally to get miners. They're called miners, and there are these people all over the world that have these crazy machines that participate in, and it's kind of like a video game, a really boring video game. And they go in, and this video game is spitting out coins every 10 minutes for the next 140 years. More coins just pop into existence. And the only way to get the coin is to process it through a machine. And this machine sucks up a ton of electricity, and after it's done all of its computation and used a lot of electricity, it will spit out the secret coin, and then you get to keep the coin. So it's kind of like digging a shovel for a long time, and you pick up a piece of gold. This machine cranks through and gets that piece of coin. So that's how more Bitcoins enter the scene, but it does so in a very algorithmic, like set determined time. So it's very stable in that regard, and it's a very set supply. So when you, and this might be a little confusing if you're still new to money and stuff, but like if you talk about the US dollar, right? Depending on how the economy is, the government can like put money, they can create money out of thin air because the money isn't backed by anything, which causes inflation, and the value of your dollar can change and stuff. In the Bitcoin world, there's no government agency to stop that. Okay, so it's just, that's what it is. If you guys have any questions while I go along and I explain this, like feel free. This is a totally different topic show, but it's totally worth your time to tune in and to listen to this because it's crazy. Just let me keep going here. All right, so Bitcoin, long story short, it's gold. It's digital gold, and we don't need to go too much deeper into it on this show. If you want to know more about it, there are a billion videos out there that explain it, and I'll just say that in the past few years, there have been 100 millionaires made from Bitcoin and billionaires made from investing in Bitcoin. So that's why people are freaking out about it right now, because in the past year, this currency has gone up in value at such a huge amount that it's freaking people out, including myself, to the point where not understanding, by ignoring this is almost, it's almost bad, you know? It's almost like wrong of you not to pay attention to this, or foolish, I guess. So if we'll take a look at Bitcoin here, we can look at the value of it. So I can show you just what I mean about like the price here and how people have been like losing their minds. So here is kind of a chart from when it was created, or well, no, this is just goes back to 2013, and the coin's been around longer than 2013. So in 2013, one Bitcoin cost $135, and the price kind of just floated around there. And then, you know, by 2014, it went up from $100 and something to like $400. So in a year, it quadrupled in value. Crazy, right? And so then it dropped and blah, blah, blah. And then something crazy happened this year. And I don't really understand why it's taken off. Maybe it's because it hit the news or it just hit a certain level. But whatever happened, in January, one coin was worth $700. And today, that coin is worth, it's closing in on $18,000. That's insane. I mean, you bought one coin for $700, now you have $18,000. The huge growth there is astronomical, and as you can see on this chart, that's why people are freaking out. Whenever this much money is being made this quickly on something this new and crazy, people tend to freak out. That's why it's on the news. That's why everybody's talking about it. The growth rate, I wish this site had the stats number, but basically the growth rate in the past year has been about 2,000%. You know, if a good stock, like an Amazon stock or Facebook stock, you might see a growth rate, you know, 30, 40%. 40% is miraculous. 2,000%, this is a whole different ballgame. This is something crazy. Okay, so what is the deal with it? Why is Bitcoin going so crazy here? We can talk about that in a little bit, but I also want to talk about these other two terms first so that we kind of have a basic understanding of why. So the next thing I want to talk about is this idea of cryptocurrency. Okay, so Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's a type of cryptocurrency. And there's actually, at this time of making this live video, there are a little over 1,000 Bitcoin, or not, excuse me, there's a little over 1,000 cryptocurrencies in existence. There's tons of them. But Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, and it is the biggest, baddest one. So if you think of it like back in the 90s, there used to be a ton of search engines, right? There was Yahoo, there was Alta Vista, there was Lycos, there was Dogpile, there was Google, there was, what's another one? Ask Jeeves. You know, so you could go on these different things and you could use all these search engines. And then eventually one day Google was like, I'm the leader. And now everybody uses Google in the same way they use the word search engine. That's what's happening with Bitcoin. People are saying Bitcoin when really they mean cryptocurrency. It's just that Bitcoin's the leader. It is the most common, most reliable, I suppose, cryptocurrency currently in existence. So there is a difference there. And if we go back to this page I was just showing you here, this is a website where you can actually see the value of all the different cryptocurrencies out there. And like all of these are different types of coins in existence. Some of them are total garbage. Some of them might change the world, but they're all in such an early initial stage. Basically, this chart here, some of these are going to be the next Google, the next Microsoft, the next Apple. Like if you got lucky and you knew which ones to invest in now, when the coins are super cheap, one day they could be worth a ton of money. And why are they worth a ton of money? That's the next question. People are like, oh, I don't get it still. Why? What's the value of this stuff? And that comes down to this concept of blockchain. That's the third thing that we need to talk about here in order to understand what the heck is going on. So blockchain this is the real deal. This is the game-changing technology. It's not the Bitcoin that's crazy. It's not the cryptocurrency that's crazy. It's the blockchain that's crazy. This is the revolutionary concept that's going to change the world. It's going to be the next evolution of the internet. I mean, it's a new type of technology that it's hard to just explain. It's about as hard for me to explain what a blockchain is as it was in the 1800s to explain to somebody what a motor was when all they knew of was horse and buggy, right? How do you explain to somebody that only knows horses and buggies what an engine is? You're like, oh, it's a compact horse made of metal, like, you know. So as I'm trying to explain blockchain to you, just understand that it's such a kind of leap forward that it's a little challenging because our brains just haven't really adapted to it. But I'm going to do my best. I'm not an expert. I'm not a computer programmer. Well, technically I have a degree in programming, but I don't do it anymore. So I'll do my best and I'll try to explain it in a way that's understandable. But blockchain is a new way to pass information around in a decentralized system that takes away your need to trust anyone. So at the core of blockchain, the thing that's going to make it so valuable is that you no longer have to trust people in order to know that your information is solid and secure and factual. Okay? So what do I mean by that? The blockchain it's founded on this idea of, they call it a ledger. Okay? So it's basically like, let's say it's a notebook with lines of information like, I have $20 and you have $10 and you have $8 and you have $6. And if somebody was writing on a piece of paper how much money everybody had, and that's how our bookkeeping was, which is how it's been for a long time with banks and stuff, then all somebody would have to do right now is like, you'd have to come through, take my notebook, and they could write, no, you don't have $8, you have $20, update it, and now, you know, this is corrupt and somebody hacked it and messed with it. Well, blockchain changes that. So now instead of me just having a copy of the notes, now every single person that has any money or any interest in that particular blockchain has a copy of the notes. So if I have, you know, my notes say I have $10, you have $20, you have $30, then my other friend over there, they've got the same set of notes that say $10, $20, $30, and person over there says the same set of notes, $10, $20, $30. So if a hacker or somebody were to come along and try to manipulate my notes here and say, no, you actually have $100 instead of 10, well, the other two are going to look at this and go, that information doesn't match our stuff. That's wrong. That's been tampered with. Throw it out. Here's a new copy of the actual blockchain. So now imagine that there's a million or a billion people on the planet that all have a copy of how much money every single person on the planet has and what the transaction is on everything. And so there's no way to manipulate the whole system. It's now trustworthy. So I know the next question people are going to say is, well, if everybody knows how much money everybody has, like, that's kind of weird, right? Doesn't that make you vulnerable? Well, yes and no. They don't exactly know how much money you have. I kind of simplified it. They just know they can see the transactions happening. They can see, and it's not like your name associated. It doesn't say John Smith sent $100 to Jane Smith. It just says $100 was sent from deposit XYZ double RRQ to double PQZ, some code to some code. So you see that transaction happen. So you don't need to get caught up in those details. But the point is that it's a more trustworthy system. And cryptocurrencies are the first way that we're using blockchain. This idea of exchange of currency is the way that we're jumping on the blockchain train. But the blockchain is going to change a lot of things. It's going to revolutionize the way we use the internet in a lot of ways. And not just the internet, just like the world in general. So I recently heard of an example that I thought was kind of interesting. And if you think about going to the store, this is an example of how blockchain might matter. You go to the store and you want to buy organic fruit or something like that. Right now, you go buy that organic fruit and you have to trust that the fruit is organic because it's got a sticker on it and the grocer put it in the organic thing. But it's possible that the farmer cheated and didn't actually, raise the crop in an organic manner. It's possible that somebody put a fake organic sticker on it. It's possible that the grocer put it in the organic section when they shouldn't have or something. So we really are trusting all of these steps were followed through to the point where we grab it and we're like, I trust that it says it's organic, it's organic. I just got to trust you because that's the best I can do. Well, with the blockchain, what's going to happen, as an example, is now on that fruit, there might be like a little QR code on it. And you take your phone, scan the QR code, and it will go, the fruit was here, it was sent on this truck, it was from this farm, which uses these pesticides, and this and this and this and this, and it will show every single step of the process that happened with that fruit. And because the process of every step of the fruit is owned by every single organic fruit farmer in the world, who are all competing against each other and they don't trust each other, then there's no way for that, to be doctored and cheated on, basically. So you know that the information you're reading is correct, and then you can be like, yep, it's organic. I scanned it. It has all of the organic requirements. Okay? So that's just an example. I'm not saying like it's just fruit, but there's like a billion different applications for this idea of trust. And again, it's like explaining to people that ride horses and buggies how the motor is going to change the world. Like, you don't really get it till you're driving a car. So one day there's going to be a shift, 15, 20 years. Well, it'll be gradual, but there'll be a shift where all of our information is more reliable and we can trust it. Right now, our information is not trustworthy. Everything you read on Facebook is fake news, clickbait. Nothing can be trusted because it's all just hearsay. Trust me, trust this. And there's no way to really know what's true, what's not. And the blockchain is going to really help figure out like fact from fiction in a lot of ways. So that's the power of the blockchain. That's why cryptocurrency is based off of blockchain, because it's safe and reliable. And that's why Bitcoin is killing it right now. So there is hopefully that answers, or like that gets the ball rolling as to what this whole concept is. And then the next question that you're probably asking is like, okay, why should I care? What should I do about it? can I make money off of this? And the answer is yes, you definitely should care. And yes, you can possibly make money off of this. But I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a financial advisor. I am not an expert. I am not your accountant. So I'm not going to give you like financial advice like you should be investing X, Y, and Z dollars. Like you got to figure that answer out on your own. But I'm just going to share my thoughts of what I think is happening right now. When I first started thinking about, I'll just tell you my history here. When I first considered investing into Bitcoin, really, I was like, I got to do this. I got to put a little bit of money into it. This was back in around, let me show this chart here because it wasn't that long ago. This was back in around like September-ish, okay? And September, the value of the coin was about $4,000 for one coin. By the way, you don't have to buy coins in whole increments. You don't have to like drop $4,000 to get one coin. You can buy fractional amounts of coins, right? You could put $1, buy $1 worth of the coin. So if one coin's worth $4,000, you put $1 into it, then you bought 1/4,000th of a coin. So you can break it down that small of increments, which is how everybody operates. You don't buy whole coins, at least not in this stage when they're 4,000 a piece. So anyhow, I saw that the value was $4,000, and at the time I was like, this seems too good to be true. This seems like a bubble. This is going to pop because like I said, at the top of the year, it was $700, and then by September it was $4,000, and I was like, that's crazy. The amount it's gone up in that short a period of time, it's got to plummet. And then I didn't do anything and tried to walk away, and then a few months later, all of a sudden now, the next time I looked, it was around $15,000 or $16,000 when it was just $4,000 just a couple months ago. So had I invested at that point, I would have doubled or tripled all of my money, or more than that, in just a few months. And so then I started going, what the heck is going on? And so then initially the same thought I have is, oh, it's a bubble again, because look, I mean, you can see it, right? You all, like a lot of people, you're familiar enough with the idea of like a bubble popping, right? Like when everybody gets into it, then it gets over, the value gets inflated, and then people drop out and the price drops. And we've heard of these bubble things happen. We've heard of the 90s, tech stock bubble. We heard of the housing bubble that crashed the economy in 2008. We heard of all these bubbles and stuff. And is it possible that this is another bubble that we're experiencing here and it's about to pop? And this whole thing is just going to collapse and everybody's going to bail and Bitcoin's going to be worthless again? Well, I wouldn't go that far. Again, not a financial expert. But what I have seen and what I've understood about this is that this is not the same as stocks. This is not the same as the housing market and things like that. Because this can't be manipulated by the government. This can't be manipulated by any one source, and as more money gets into it, it's going to be more and more challenging for anyone to manipulate this thing because everybody's invested in it. There's no centralized source, and it's all right now. It is very much largely based off of fear and speculation and things like that. So as people have right now, I'm experiencing fear. It's called FOMO, the fear of missing out. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't jump on this right now, I'm missing out on the opportunity to double, triple my money in the next 4 months. And like that's my feeling in my gut. And a lot of people feel that way, which is why they're jumping on it, which is why the price is skyrocketing. But now if something else were to happen and, people are like, this is too much money. I've made too much money. I got to bail. And then they leave and then it plummets and then everybody else watches it plummet and then they leave because they don't want to lose their money. So it's all this whole like idea of like fear and things like that. But the thing is that the value is going up so much. And the question is this bubble going to pop? I think that the value of Bitcoin is massive, and it is definitely worth It's definitely worth, in my opinion, way more than it says $15,000, 17,000. I don't know. Let's just say 15. Bitcoin is worth way more than $15,000 a coin, in my opinion. I really think that a Bitcoin is worth like $1 million or more. Like, I really think like the coin is actually worth that much, but we just haven't had enough people buy into it yet. You know, it's still in its early baby stages. And during that process of people buying into it and then coming out and then buying in and blah, 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 you're going to see these crazy spikes where it's going to go up and then it's going to go down, up and down. But in the long run, the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, it's going to go, boo! It's just going to skyrocket up. So if you have the gut to hold on to your coin as it's going through all of these crazy phases and finding its way up, and you can deal with the fact that your value might go down a ton and then might go up a ton, and you can just hold on and trust in the system because you understand what the value actually is, then it's going to change your life. And why I'm so excited about this Bitcoin thing and why I think it's such a groundbreaking thing is because it's the first world currency. It's the first currency that the entire planet can agree upon that isn't backed by any government. So there's no government manipulation that's going on here. In the United States, it's hard for us to really, trust something that's changing its value so much. It's just bouncing around because the U.S. dollar is so stable. We live in a world where it's like, yeah, well, my dollar is going to be worth $1 tomorrow, and in 2 days it'll be worth $1 again. Maybe in 10 years it'll be, a little bit less than what $1 is today because of deflation or because of inflation and whatnot. But generally, it's a pretty stable thing. But you got to think about what's happening in other countries. There's other countries where their currency is not stable. Like, I think it's Nigeria. Nigeria, they have like $1 billion bills. Like, literally, they give each other a bill and it says $1 billion. And they even have $1 trillion bills. Like, I'm not kidding. I've held them before. I can show a picture of them. You can go buy something with $1 trillion bill because their inflation is so out of control that, if you were a billionaire today, that might mean you're actually poor because you don't have enough money because their money is just crazy. It's totally volatile. It's becoming more and more worthless. So they're printing more and more money to the point that everybody's a trillionaire. Like, that's just, it's nuts. So what are people doing in countries like that where their money isn't, the government can't, support their money system? Well, they're buying Bitcoin because Bitcoin is trustworthy, way more trustworthy than their country's currency. So what you're finding right now is this revolution across the planet where poor people that haven't had access to the money system and haven't had access to do stuff with their money, they found a gold nugget through this thing called Bitcoin, and they're dropping it in and they're putting their money into it. And you're going to see a huge radical shift on the planet of wealth. A wealth exchange is happening right now, and I believe that Bitcoin is going to be the one of the tools that changes the wealth structure. And you're going to see a lot more poor people have a lot more wealth because they, whether they wanted to or not, they invested in it on an earlier stage. That's just how I see things happening. And so you gotta think about it from a broader perspective of what this really means. So right now, less than 1% of the world's population has bought anything in Bitcoin. Very small amount. And there's, I forget the number. I'm gonna just say a random number. Let's just pretend. Let's say there's $100 trillion of money that exists in the world today. Well, the amount of money in Bitcoin right now is 300 billion. Is that right? There's about $300 billion invested into Bitcoin right now, and there's like $150 trillion, across the world. So is there room for more people to put more money into Bitcoin? Definitely. Why would people put more money into Bitcoin? Because it's more reliable than their government. So as more and more people across the world put money into this asset, what's going to happen is the value of all these government currencies are going to slowly drop because people are leaving the system in exchange for this other system. Next question I get all the time, I ask myself, and I've heard people ask it. I'm not an expert on this thing. I'm just expressing my feelings and thoughts about it. Is, well, can I buy things with Bitcoin? Well, again, I think you have to think of Bitcoin like gold. Okay, so there's you can't take a chunk of gold and go pay for gas. You can't go to the gas station and drop some gold on the counter and say, I'd like to pay for my gas with gold, because the cashier's going to go, what am I going to do with this? Like, they know it's valuable, but they don't even know I don't know what to do with this. And that's kind of how Bitcoin is. It's an asset. Think of it as something that's a storage of value, not necessarily a way to transact. Now, there's a lot of other coins out there that may be the way that we transact in the future. I don't think Bitcoin is necessarily going to be the way that we transact necessarily. I doubt it, because the way that Bitcoin, the computer algorithm that created Bitcoin, it takes about 10 minutes right now to transact money from one account to another. So if you are at a gas station and you wanted to buy a candy bar with Bitcoin, then you'd lay the candy bar there and then you'd scan, and then you'd have to wait 10 minutes till your transaction went through. Not really realistic. So I don't see that happening unless they can update the transactions so that they happen way faster than 10 minutes. It's possible. But there's other coins out there that are already trying to do that. There's another coin that's growing in popularity called Litecoin, which, if you've been following some of my stuff, I've been talking about Litecoin lately. Litecoin is it's based off the exact same technology and programming as Bitcoin, except they made it in a more light way. They made it so that transactions happen quicker, and instead of taking 10 minutes, it takes, I don't know, maybe 1 minute right now or something like that, or maybe it's even a few seconds. I'm not really sure, but it happens a lot faster. And so if Litecoin, can be agile and figure out a way to make money happen really fast, someday going to pay for anything will be as simple as like holding your phone up, just like at Starbucks when you pay for stuff with a loyalty card, or you use your credit card with the iPhone technology. It'll be something like that. Just paid, move on. Another nice thing about these coins and stuff and putting your money in cryptocurrencies is that you're never going to run into like stupid bank fees where they charge you for a $35 overdraft fee for being off by 1 penny. You're not going to have to deal with depositing money into your bank account or into your cryptocurrency account, and it's going to take you 5 days for the money to get in there. It's just going to be like that. Right now it takes 5 days for money to get in there because the bank takes 5 days, because the banks are slow. You want to transact money from one account to another, it's going to take a couple days. Cryptocurrency, it's just there. 5 days transferring money compared to 10 minutes on Bitcoin. It's really fast. You're going to be able to transfer money around the world a lot quicker, a lot easier, a lot more reliable, a lot more trustworthy. So it's just it's a safer, better way to exchange money. That's what the blockchain offers. It's a trust factor. Money is all about trust. It's all about flow of money, flow of resources from one person to another. And the blockchain, cryptocurrencies are offering that solution. And we're going to see that adoption happen more and more and more. We're seeing, Visas. I got to look into this to double check, but Visa's offering blockchain or Bitcoin credit cards. You could literally go out and buy things with Bitcoin dollars, supposedly. And the Chicago Fortune or Future Exchange or something, big high-end financial sectors are jumping into it and investing in it, making it more valid. And as all of these different things jump into it and make it more valid, and as individuals do and corporations, one day, once all the big corporations are putting a big part of their money into cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or something, then you're going to see this volatility stable out, because now there's a ton of money and a lot at stake, and nobody wants to be dipping all their money in and out. And you'll see that happen in the future, But right now it's in these early rocky stages of who knows what the heck's happening. That's why the price jumps all over the place. So again, is it going to pop? Are you going to, if you put money into it today, are you going to lose money tomorrow? Chances are, long run, you're going to make a ton, like a crap load of money in the long run. In the short run, it's anybody's game. You could put in $1,000 today, and tomorrow it could be worth $200. It could happen. But most likely in 10 years, that $1,000 is going to be worth, $100,000, because the world is just heading in that direction. And everybody is jumping into this Bitcoin thing. And it sounds almost like a multi-level marketing thing, but it's not. Joe Granieri says that he bought some in September, and he sold in October, and he made a few thousand. He bought more in October, and he's doing well, but then he reinvested it into altcoins. Joe Granieri predicts that the coin is going to be worth $100,000. Bitcoin will be worth $100,000 in 2018. Like I said, right now it's worth about $15,000. And so if you bought, let me see Joe Granieri's math here, just to give you an idea of like what those crazy numbers might look like. So 100,000 divided by 15 is what it's currently at ish. It's a 6.6 time return. So if you invested $1,000 today into the Bitcoin, according to Joe Granieri's guarantee, that $1,000 will turn into $6,660. 666, roughly $7,000. So that that's a 7 times return. That's a possibly huge amount of money to be making through this thing. And then that's what the hype is. That's what a lot of people believe. Not everybody. Some people are definitely, everybody has an opinion. Some people are like, this is going to pop. This is a joke. This is a scam. People are going to realize it's a total lie, and they're going to bail. And then some people are even making money off that. Not me. Joe Granieri says, ride that volatility wave. Yeah. And he also says that Litecoin is going to go for the merchants. It's the silver to Bitcoin. That's another good way to put it. Talking about Litecoin again. Anything that's not a Bitcoin is called an altcoin. And like I said, there's like 1,000 altcoins out there. There's altcoins versus Bitcoin, right? And Litecoin, if Bitcoin is gold, then Litecoin is silver. And it's easier to transact. There's less volume. It's less valuable than gold. But based off of what I've been watching, if you just look at the numbers here, it's stupid what's going on here. Okay, so look at Litecoin. Does it say the number? It doesn't say the percentage, does it? 1 second. Let me go into my other account here. Now, I have just started this whole journey of cryptocurrencies and stuff, but I plan on definitely, 2018 is going to be my year of cryptocurrencies. I'm going to be putting as much money as I possibly can afford to do it. And again, I'm only going to put enough in where if I lost it, I wouldn't go be homeless or anything, but I can still pay my bills. So I'm taking care of myself. I'm not being stupid, but I definitely see the value here, and I'm going to put as much money as I can while still being able to basically survive, because I really believe this is super crazy. So if you look at Litecoin here, you see this number right here, 8,490, so 8,500%, gains in a year, 8,000% return, 8,500% return. Bitcoin, like I said, was 2,000. Litecoin return has been 8,500% return. So even though that it has less volume and it's less per coin, the fact that it is faster to transact because of the fact that they can update their code and they can make it, they can make the whole process work better, has caused the growth to be faster growing than Bitcoin's growth. So I definitely see Litecoin being a huge part of the future as well. Now, the next thing you guys are probably wondering are like, well, how do I invest? How does this all work? If I buy Bitcoin, can I ever exchange it for money? This is a conversation I had the other day with my dad, and he wanted to know all these things, and I figured you might want to know all these things. Yes, 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 totally simple. So the easiest way to do it right now in 2017, at the time making this video, is a site. It's called Coinbase, coinbase.com. You can download the app, the Coinbase app, and it's so easy to put money. So all you got to do is you want to buy or you want to sell your coins, okay? So easy, right? So I want to buy Bitcoin, and my payment method is going to be, and then here are your bank accounts. So here's my Chase bank account, and I want to put in, you know, $1,000, and then it says, okay, $1,000 today is worth 0.055478 Bitcoin. And then I buy the Bitcoin, and now I have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. And then let's say in 3 months I was right and Bitcoin went up, and now that $1,000 turned into $2,000. I want to cash out. Then I just go over to the sell, and I'll take my Bitcoin and I'll deposit it into that bank account again, and I will say I want to sell that $2,000. Well, I don't have $2,000 Bitcoin in here right now. I think I have, like, let's just say I have $10. So then I want to cash $10 in, and then boom, I put it back into my bank account. So it's that easy to exchange. It's easier than exchanging US dollars to pesos, you know? Think of it in that regard. So it's not like if you buy into this money system, then you're stuck with it. Although I will warn you that there is a price to pay if you are going to if you end up deciding to invest in this stuff, and you do end up making a ton of money, you have to be very careful of the whole tax thing, because if you're not used to investing in stuff, that could bite you in the butt. You have to realize that there's a couple types of taxes out there. There's one called the short-term capital gains, and then there's long-term capital gains. Anything you make in this type of money situation, and I'm not an accountant, you got to talk to your accountant about this stuff, it's called capital gains. And if you don't let that ride for at least a year, and you cash out early, it's called short-term capital gains, and you're going to get taxed quite a bit. I don't know, like 15, 20%, depends on how much money you make. I'm not really sure the exact number. But then if you let it sit longer, it's called long-term capital gains, and then when you cash out, you don't have to pay as high in taxes. So when it comes time to cashing out, you definitely, you know, talk to your accountant and stuff like that. And I know this is a commercial arts show, so I don't want to like get too deep into that kind of stuff. I just want to bring your attention to what this whole Bitcoin is, how it works. Should you do it? Should you not? My personal opinion is that go in, and whether or not this bubble pops, it's the future. I think of the dot-com bubble of 2000, and you know, people were starting in the mid 90s, 94, 95, 96, 97. They were starting to understand the internet, and everybody started getting really excited, like, oh my gosh, this is the revolution, this is going to change everything, which it has. Hello, like, it's completely changed the planet. And so everybody was right at that time period to be like, this is unbelievable. I'm going to buy every domain, every .com that appears. I'm investing in it. I'm going to buy. And then, you know, there was that bubble pop, right? And then the value of all that stuff went down. Tons of people lost money. And, oh, so sad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you fast forward another 17 years, and now that little bubble is just like, just the tiniest little, who cares? Because the value, if you would have stuck with it and you stuck past that little hiccup of a bubble, you would have had the most amazing returns. Imagine buying stock in the 90s for Amazon today and Google today, and then going through, watching your stocks skyrocket up, that bubble pop, then they dip, but you held on to it and you waited another 15, 20 years. You would be multi-millionaires for just a mild investment if you would have stuck with it in the 90s. And I see something very similar, except more extreme, happening right now with this Bitcoin stuff. You stick through it today, maybe the bubble pops tomorrow and you lose half your money tomorrow, but in a period of time, I can't tell you if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 years, that amount is just going to go to the moon. And so like I said, if you're going to invest, only put enough money in where, you know, you can live without it for now until that it matures and turns into what it's going to turn into. But it's the future. The only thing I see happening that might be a possibility is that there are other types of altcoins out there. Remember, there's Bitcoin and altcoins. It's possible that one of these other altcoins becomes more valuable than Bitcoin. And that's not going to happen tomorrow or in the next month or the next 5 months. Might happen in 5 months. Probably not. But if it happens, all you got to do is you just take all your Bitcoins and then you can put it into this other thing that's growing better, right? So it's not like it's not the hugest. It's a huge gamble if you don't pay attention. But if you just pay a little bit of attention to what's going on and you watch your money grow and the other coins kind of change and stuff, then you're going to be in an incredibly life-changing position. But it really depends on if you act sooner rather than later. Like I said, people that bought Bitcoins when they cost like 10 cents each, you know, 9 years ago, they're now 100 millionaire and billionaires because they saw it 9 years ago when they were part of, you know, 0.0001% of the population when they understood it. Now we're at the point where like 1% of the population understands it. Next year we're going to be at 10%. And next year going to be at 50%. Once, you know, 50% of the population understands Bitcoin, the price isn't going to like skyrocket like it used to anymore because everybody's in it, you know, so all the money's already into it. So getting in early always pays off. Just like when you buy a stock early, it pays off big in the long run because since you decided to invest during a risky time period, you were rewarded in the future. That's what happened. That's what's happening right now. And it's not just on a company. It's not just like an iPhone. It's on money itself across the world. So that's the power of the whole thing. What else we got here in the comments? Joe Granieri's going off. Joe Granieri says use GDEX for altcoins. Now I will say this, one of the flaws of this whole Bitcoin thing that's going on that I see in the principle of decentralization, you know, like I said, this principle of like you can't be hacked because, or well, you know, the whole system can't be taken down because it's not centralized. There is a little bit of centralization going on, which will change in the future. Right now, the centralization is through these apps like Coinbase. And like Joe Granieri said, there's another one called GDEX. There's Bittrex. There's Gemini. There might be other ones out there. I don't really know, but there's not too many choices. There's not too many websites where you can buy Bitcoins. But because all of these, there's these websites, they're the honeypot, if you will, for hackers. That's the place where if they can hack into the Coinbase servers, they can totally steal a ton of money. So it's a vulnerable spot. So I'm going to quickly introduce you to one more concept that I'm still kind of grasping my head around a little bit. And that's the idea of like what you do with your money. Keeping it on these sites, if let's say you end up making like a lot of money, enough money where like you don't want a hacker to take it, you can actually take your money and put it onto a little device. It's not exactly the way I'm putting it, but I'm explaining it in this simplistic terms. You put it onto a device, and you can take that device and you can put it, you put it away. You hide it in a safety deposit box at the bank or something, and your money sits in a digital format off the internet, so no hacker can get at it. Because that's the one thing that's going to happen is if everybody just puts in all their money out on the internet in this Bitcoin thing, you have the chance for a hacker to attack you specifically, steal all your funds. So it's important for you to take your money out of these trading exchange areas and put them somewhere safe. And you only use these trading exchange areas when you want to sell and buy certain amounts of coins. Does that make sense? If not, don't worry. Take it one step at a time. You got to educate yourself. It's totally, absolutely so worth your time to look into this, learn about it, educate yourself a little bit because, in the 1800s, there was the gold rush and families were willing to die to travel on horse and buggy across the United States in the hopes of getting gold. Now, there's no life and death situation going on here, but we got the same type of gold rush happening. And the people that jump on the gold rush quicker are the ones that get the most gold, right? It's the same thing. This is the new gold rush, but it's a little bit crazier. It's you know, you're not going to get dysentery, and your oxen aren't going to die, and you don't have to go shoot buffalo. But that's what's happening right now. That's what this thing is. That's why people are freaking out. Some people are like, it's a bubble, blah, blah, blah. In the long run, it's going to it's going to be the new gold. It's going to be the new gold standard. So Troy says that's why you invest in infrastructure instead of trying to pick a single company. Buy the companies that make blockchain tech run efficiently. So Troy, I think that there's a lot to be said about, you know, diversification, period. And again, you should talk to like a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just expressing my opinion. I got to say that like 100 times. I don't know why. The lawyer that I don't own or that I don't have told me to say that. But you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket ever for anything. You don't want to have everything you own be reliant on like just one thing, because if that thing crashes, then you are out of money. So you always want to have some money here, some money here, some money here. So you definitely should have some money in stocks. You should have some money in your home. If you have a business, some money in your business. You should have some money in now, you know, cryptocurrencies. You should have some money saved up as cash hidden, you know, under your couch or something. You should have, you know, just you have to have your money spread around. So if something goes wrong in one of these things, this whole, you know, the idea of decentralization, then you're not totally screwed because you didn't put it all in one spot. But yeah, like just because there's this new thing like Bitcoin doesn't mean that your house isn't going to be valuable anymore. It's still going to be valuable. So it's good to buy a house, you know. It doesn't mean stocks aren't going to be valuable anymore. They're still going to be valuable. You should still buy stocks. You should still buy, you know, things that are going to increase in value. Joe Granieri says he uses Bittrex and Gemini and Kraken, but GDAX is linked to Coinbase. Yeah, like I said, there's all of these like exchange markets out there to buy your cryptocurrency, and you gotta like do your homework. They don't all offer the same thing, but I'm telling you, if you're new and you want to get started, Coinbase is like super easy. You don't need to really understand like the fine details. Like just like, you know, you need to understand how emails work to use an email, right? You don't need to understand how banks work, the inner workings of financial institutions to understand how to use a bank. Coinbase is like that. It's easy to use, and you don't have to know all of the craziness behind it. But there's more complicated sites out there as you get more into it. And I'm not an expert, just my opinion. So anyhow, I know this was a small class session today for my show because it's not about martial arts. It's way off topic. But for anybody that stuck through and listened to it, I really appreciate it because this is a really important thing. And it's almost a I told you so episode, so that like 50 years or 20 years from now, I can go back and go, I told all the people I care about that this is important. Now, maybe in 20 years, you can go back at me and say, I told you so, and I was totally wrong. Who knows? But I just want to let people know about what this is. And I know I've been making posts about it lately to the point where people actually have invested their actual money into it. I've had a couple friends and family like hit me up and ask me how to do it. And I've told some friends and family to do it. And so I feel a little bit responsible to spend a little bit of time talking about it a little bit more in depth so that you kind of have an idea of where I'm coming from. Joe Granieri says that it will make its way into martial arts. I've been thinking about that. Like, how could it make its way into martial arts? Here's some ways that I think that you'll see cryptocurrencies in martial arts. I think that right now in martial arts, there's a thing of trust that goes in when you sign up new students with contracts. You sign them up for a 6-month contract, a 1-year contract, and then you got to hope that they keep paying their bills and they don't change your credit card. Sometimes like they'll change their credit card number on you, then you can't charge them the monthly fee anymore. They won't tell you it, and it just turns into this whole thing. Well, there's going to be these cryptocurrency situations where these contracts will be totally trustworthy. You have a copy of the contract. I have a copy of the contract. It's just you can't back out of it necessarily. It'll just be more trustworthy all around. I see the possibility in the future of even a martial arts cryptocurrency could arise, where the martial arts cryptocurrency could be used to buy lessons, it could be used to buy martial arts gear, it could be used to buy, martial arts gear specifically from a certain company. Like Hyper might have a cryptocurrency, and Century Martial Arts might have a cryptocurrency, and you got to use Century dollars to buy Century products and Hyper dollars to buy Hyper products. You got to buy, ABC Martial Arts currency to buy ABC lessons. It could get down to that level. It's possible. Again, I think that's like, a couple decades away, but once it adapts, you're gonna see so many types of currency that you never wrapped your head around, because you're gonna be like, I remember back in the day when a dollar was just a dollar, and now I'm buying Justin Bieber cryptocurrencies, and the Justin Bieber cryptocurrency is gonna have more value than some countries, which is probably gonna happen, because it's just how it is. It's currency is tribalism. It's like, what tribe do you belong to? What currency do you have? And people are going to be like trading them all the time for exchanging the value, and then you're gonna get knocked down if you don't understand what the heck's going on. And you're gonna be like, how? I don't understand any of this stuff. So it definitely pays to understand super early on, so that you're prepared for the future and you can kind of go with the flow as the flow ebbs and flows. Joe Graneri says people will be registering for tournaments with Litecoin. Just wait. Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, it's super possible. I can see it happening in the next in a year, really. As soon as a year, I could see that happening. As soon as Litecoin builds an infrastructure that allows merchants to jump on and exchange money back and forth, and when a web developer is setting up a website for online registration, and they're like, pay with credit card, pay with PayPal, or pay with Litecoin, and you just hit the Litecoin button and you pay with Litecoin. Totally possible. And it would be in the tournament's best interest to do that, because if they started accepting Litecoin, and then they can do transactions securely, there's going to be no issues with credit card companies and like extra fees, because every time you charge them with a credit card, the business has to like pay a fee to the credit card company. That'll be eliminated. Well, largely, your fees will be greatly dropped if they're there at all. Also, if the tournament was smart enough, they just keep their money in Litecoin, and again, if they did it early on, it'll double in value the next year. It's not always going to double in value forever, but if they're early adopters, there's a big reason to do that. All right, I'm going to wrap up today's episode. We are definitely over time. But hopefully you understand a little bit more about this idea of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and Bitcoin. Oh, as one more thing, I forgot to say, I had a little story. I wanted to start this whole show with this story. Well, whatever. I'll share it real quick. So I titled this video, Cryptocurrencies, Blockchain, Bitcoin, Oh My, Follow the Yellow Brick Road. The reason I did that is because the Yellow Brick Road from Alice in the Wizard of Oz, not Alice in Wonderland, whoops, from the Wizard of Oz, that yellow brick road was an allegory that represented the gold standard. Follow the gold standard, like go down and invest yourself in gold. And the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion, they all represented different types of people that need to be investing in gold. I forget what it was. It's like the lion represented the farmer because he had a heart or something, and the Tin Man invest some other industry, and the Scarecrow is some other industry, or maybe Scarecrow's farmer. It doesn't matter. It's all symbolic for the economy. It's like, actually, when I was taking economics class in high school, we had to watch The Wizard of Oz because it was basically just this big metaphor for the gold standard. So that's why I said that. Plus, it just sounded good. I know my story's lame. You can go look it up. All right, I'm gonna end my episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate every time you tune in. This has been another episode Live with Wolfman. I will catch you guys next week. Again, with the holidays coming, and I got some other things going on. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do a consistent 5-day-a-week episode, but I'm gonna try every day. Always stay tuned. Live with Wolfman in the Facebook group. I'll keep you updated about new episodes and what they're gonna be about, so you can tune in. Cool? All right, I'll see you later.